In 1950, a British mathematician asked a question that would haunt the next 100 years of science. Can machines think? 70 years later, machines write poetry. They diagnose disease. They beat world champions at games too complex for any human to fully calculate. This is the story of how we taught silicon to think. The dreamers, the failures, the winters that almost killed the dream, and the breakthrough that changed everything. This is the history of artificial intelligence. Our story begins with Alan Turing. During World War II, he helped crack Nazi Germany's Enigma code, a feat of logic that arguably saved millions of lives. But Turing's real obsession was bigger. In 1950, he proposed a simple test. If a machine could hold a conversation so convincingly that a human couldn't tell it apart from another person, could we say it was thinking? 6 years later, in the summer of 1956, a small group of researchers gathered at Dartmouth College in New Hampshire. Among them, John McCarthy, Marvin Minsky, and Claude Shannon. They believed that every aspect of learning and intelligence could, in principle, be simulated by a machine. It was here that a young researcher coined a new term for this ambitious science: artificial intelligence. The field was born, and the room was full of optimism. Some believed human-level machine intelligence was only 20 years away. They were wrong, but the dream had begun. The first wave of AI ran on logic and rules. Researchers believed intelligence was just symbol manipulation. If you could teach a machine enough if-then rules, it would eventually reason like a human. In 1966, a program called ELIZA stunned the world. It simulated a psychotherapist responding to typed sentences with uncanny human-like replies. Some users became emotionally attached, even knowing it was just code. Machines were starting to feel less like calculators and more like something else entirely. Governments poured in funding. The press ran headlines about robot butlers and mechanical minds. The future felt close enough to touch. But the promises had outrun the technology. Machines couldn't actually understand language. They were just matching patterns. They couldn't generalize. They couldn't scale. In 1973, a scathing government report in the UK concluded that AI research had failed to deliver on its grand claims. Funding collapsed almost overnight. Laboratories closed. Researchers left the field entirely. The press turned from wonder to ridicule. This period would later be given a chilling nickname: the AI Winter. It was the first proof of a lesson AI would need to learn again and again. Hype is easy, intelligence is hard. AI clawed its way back in the 1980s with a new idea: expert systems. Instead of trying to build general intelligence, researchers encoded the specific knowledge of human experts, doctors, geologists, engineers, into rule-based programs. Companies invested billions. Japan launched its ambitious fifth-generation computer project, aiming for machine reasoning at a national scale. But expert systems were brittle. They couldn't handle anything outside their narrow rules, and maintaining them became a nightmare. By the late 1980s, funding dried up once more. A second winter set in, colder, and many believed, final. While the world had given up on AI, a small group of researchers kept working, quietly, on the fringes. They revived an old idea inspired by the human brain itself: the neural network, layers of artificial neurons, loosely modeled on biology, that could learn patterns from data rather than being explicitly programmed. In 1986, a breakthrough algorithm called backpropagation gave these networks a way to actually learn from their mistakes. Progress was slow. Computers were still too weak and data too scarce. But in 1997, the world got a preview of what was coming. IBM's Deep Blue defeated world chess champion Garry Kasparov. It wasn't thinking the way humans do, but it was a sign. Brute computational power, applied cleverly, could conquer tasks once thought uniquely human. Everything changed in 2012. A team led by Geoffrey Hinton entered an annual computer vision competition called ImageNet, where algorithms tried to identify objects in millions of photographs. Their neural network, nicknamed AlexNet, didn't just win. It crushed the competition, cutting the error rate almost in half. The secret wasn't just a smarter algorithm. It was a convergence of three forces: massive datasets from the internet, powerful graphics processors originally built for video games, and deeper neural networks than anyone had trained before. This was the moment deep learning went from academic curiosity to unstoppable force. Tech companies scrambled to hire every AI researcher they could find. The winter was finally, truly over. The breakthroughs came faster now. In 2016, Google's AlphaGo defeated Lee Sedol, one of the greatest Go players in history. In a game so complex, experts believed it would take machines another decade to master. AI systems learned to recognize faces, diagnose tumors from medical scans, and translate languages in real time. Then came a new architecture, introduced in 2017, called the Transformer, a way for machines to understand context and relationships across long stretches of text. It would become the foundation for something the world wasn't ready for. By the early 2020s, language models trained on Transformer architecture had grown to enormous scale, trained on a meaningful fraction of all text ever written. In late 2022, one of these models was released to the public in a simple chat interface. Within days, it had millions of users. Within months, it had reshaped how the entire world thought about AI. For the first time, ordinary people, not just researchers, could hold a conversation with a machine that felt genuinely intelligent. It could write, code, explain, and create. Alongside it, image generators turned text descriptions into photorealistic art in seconds. The line between human and machine creativity blurred in ways Alan Turing could scarcely have imagined. 70 years after his original question, the answer seemed finally within reach. Today, AI writes our emails, drives experimental cars, folds proteins that could cure disease, and generates art indistinguishable from human hands. But the deepest questions remain unanswered. Can a machine truly understand, or only imitate understanding perfectly? Where is the line between simulation and thought? Alan Turing never lived to see the answer. He died in 1954, 2 years before his idea even had a name. But his question still echoes through every server, every neural network, every conversation between human and machine. Can machines think? Maybe the better question now is, what will we teach them to think about next?